The melodic minor scale can be a super musical tool for jazz improvisation, but all the complex theory behind it can get confusing really fast. So I'm gonna show you exactly how and where to use the melodic minor scale in jazz in a way that's super easy to understand. Hey, Brent here from Learn Jazz Standards. So take a look here at this chord progression. It has a D minor 7 flat 5, G7, and a C minor 7. This is a minor 2-5-1 in C minor, right? So we have D minor 7 is the 2 chord, G7 is the 5 chord, and C minor 7 is the 1 chord. This is kind of, basic harmony 101. But most importantly to understand is this chord progression, the minor 2-5-1, is one of the most important chord progressions in all of jazz. So getting good at improvising over is a really good idea, and we can use the melodic minor scale as a tool to help us start to generate ideas of what kinds of notes and colors we can play over top of these chords. But first, what is a melodic minor scale and how do you actually play it? So a C melodic minor scale sounds like this. Okay. So C is the root, D is the second tone, E flat is the minor third, F is the fourth, G is the fifth, A natural is the major sixth, and finally B natural is the major seventh. Now, when we look at the melodic minor scale, it sort of starts out like a natural minor scale, with that minor third in there, going to the fifth, but then when it kind of merges and also becomes a major scale at the same time, we go to the major sixth tone there and the major seventh. And that's what makes it a melodic minor. It's almost like you're combining the natural minor and a major scale together. Now there is so much different melodic minor theory out there that it gets overwhelming really quickly. So what I want to show you is 3 applications of the melodic minor using the chords here in this minor 2-5-1, showing you a melodic minor scale that you can play over each one of these chords. So let's go to the very first chord, which is the D minor 7 flat 5, or the half diminished chord. Well, over top of this D minor 7 flat 5, you can actually play an F melodic minor. And the rule here is anytime you have a minor 7 flat 5 chord or a half diminished chord, you can play a melodic minor, a minor third up from the root of that chord. To say it again, any half diminished chord, you can play a melodic minor scale, a minor third up from the root of that chord. So D minor 7, a minor third interval up is going to be F. And so if we play the F melodic minor scale, all those notes are going to sound good. You can kind of hear that too. And so that is a melodic minor application, playing a melodic minor, a minor third up from the root of that chord. Let's now move over to the G7 chord, and over top of the G7, we can play the A flat melodic minor scale. Okay, now the rule that you can apply over any dominant 7th chord that you see is you can play a melodic minor scale a half step up from the root. So in other words, when you see a dominant 7th chord, you can play a melodic minor scale a half step up, and all the notes there are gonna sound good. Now, if you're paying attention, you may notice that some of those notes sound a little bit dissonant or a little bit of tension in there. Let's explain why. Looking at the A flat melodic minor scale, what are the notes that we're actually playing as it pertains to the G7? The A flat is actually the flat 9, okay? And we know that over top of dominant 7th chords, we can play a lot of alterations and extensions. The extensions being the 9th, the 11th, and the 13th. And the dominant 7th chord has the most possible alterations to those extensions. You can play the flat 9, the sharp 9, the sharp 11, and you can play the flat 13. So we start with the flat 9, which is A flat. The B flat is actually the sharp 9. The C flat is the third of the G7. The D flat is the sharp 11. The E flat is the flat 13. And then the F is the flat 7. And then finally the G is the root of G7. So essentially when you play a melodic minor a half step up from a dominant 7th chord, what you really get is this tense sounding altered dominant 7th chord, which is awesome because jazz musicians use these sounds all of the time to create tension in their lines that resolve to a more stable chord. Now we move on to the last one here, which is the C minor 7th chord. And over top of the C minor 7, we can play the C melodic minor scale. So the rule here obviously is whenever you see a minor 7th chord, you can play a melodic minor scale starting on the root. So you might wonder, why would that be? Because whenever you see a C minor 7, that means that the 7th automatically is flatted. And in the melodic minor scale, as we discussed before, there's a major 7 in that chord. Well, this really all goes back to minor harmony theory, which states essentially that there are 3 minor scales that you can harmonize with 7th chords. There's the natural minor, there's the harmonic minor, and there's the melodic minor. And out of the different scales you have there, when you harmonize them with 7th chords, you're gonna get some different options that you can actually play, or different chords that you can play in the diatonic series, meaning what's the 1 chord, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 chords of the harmonic series. Obviously, if you harmonize a melodic minor scale with 7th chords, the very first note, C, is going to be a C minor major 7th chord, which sounds like this. So what you can do in jazz, if you see a C minor 7 on a chart, you could superimpose a minor major 7 instead. And those sounds create color and interest in that chord. Now, by the way, if any of this music theory went over your head at all and you're not quite sure what I mean by chord progressions and harmonizing scales together and all the stuff I just mentioned, or even basic scale construction, not a worry at all. I have a free guide I'd like to give to you. It's called the Jazz Theory Made Easy Fast Track Guide, completely free. I'll leave a link to that on the description down below, as well as up here on the screen for you to download, and I'll send it to you right away. Get everything cleared out of your head when it comes to theory. Additionally, you may wonder, what are some other scales that would be helpful to know for jazz and jazz improvisation? Well, on the screen right now, I have a video called The Most Important Scales in Jazz, so feel free to check that one out if you think that would be helpful as well. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.